Thank you. So we looked at expanding your achievement activities. That the goal of this particular step is, out of the 20 achievement activities, we are supposed to select 8, and we are supposed to then expand these 8 activities of how you went about doing these achievement activities and what you enjoyed doing. Choosing the 8 is very critical, and the expansion should be also very critical, so that this 8 expansions will become the database on which how you will discover your design. So for our purposes, the best achievement activities to select for expansion are those that were the most important and deeply satisfying to you. So out of the 20, you will have to choose that which was most important and deeply satisfying to you. Here again, the only criteria that matters is your own assessment of those achievement activities, regardless of whether or not they were important or impactful to anyone else. Don't bother whether your mom and dad felt it was important, your teacher felt it was important, your friends found it important. The most important thing is whether you found it important, whether it was satisfying to you, whether it was important to you. If an achievement activity has risen to this level in your mind, then it is likely that you will also be able to recall enough details about it thoroughly expert. So some of these activities will be in your childhood. It may be something very, very simple, but it probably has such an impression on your mind that even today you can recollect the details of it. So that would be something very important, and it probably has been very deeply satisfying to you. So you should preferably, in this 8 also, when you choose, should be distributed among the different age settings of yours. Ideally, it is best for you to select achievement activities from a wide range of life experiences so that your whole pattern can be verified. It is best for you to choose achievement activities from as many periods of your life possible, not just recent ones. So there are 2 things there. One, try, if you are a good you did stamp collection when you were childhood, when you did stamp collection when you were early adulthood, you did stamp collection in adulthood, don't you use stamp collection alone. Preferably use other activities so that you'll get more accurate database, and preferably choose events from across your different life periods. That's a preferable. Include at least one achievement activity from your childhood and at least one from your youth if you can. You may be surprised to learn that your map was expressing itself even in these early life experiences. Also, it is best for you to choose achievement activities from as many sectors of your life as possible, such as your home life, your leisure time, your sports involvement, your volunteer work, rather than just from your job. A lot of us would be tempted to choose from the immediate past and mostly from your work. Now, for us pastors, it will be like, I preached this sermon, I did this mission trip. It will be mostly because we can recollect them best, and we had maximum sense when we were doing it. So don't do that. Don't let everything be focused on the immediate past. Preferably start choosing from your childhood onwards. At least one should be from your childhood. Why they said at least one? Otherwise, we will totally miss the database. Preferably 3, in 2, 4. Then you can choose 4 from your recent past. That's the best way to look at it. So after you have selected your top 8 achievement activities, then you should write a 1-page expansion for each one that provides as much details as possible, how you got involved in the activity, how you went about doing it, and what was most satisfying to you about the activity. There are the 3 questions you're answering. So what will help you to expand? 3 questions. How you got involved in the activity, how you went about doing the activity, and what was most satisfying about the activity. So this 1 or 2 or 3 sentences that you have written in your achievement summary, you need to now expand it to a page, not the whole 20, only 8 of them, okay? Expand it to a page and will become the database from which you're going to pull out the criteria for identifying your design. So here is very important thing. You should keep in mind that your own actions are the focus of these questions. Let but let us know how you related to others. If others were involved, the data must exclusively be personal to you and only come from you. Additionally, each question asks for a different kind of data. So we don't want to. So in that achievement summary expansion, if somebody else did something, don't write that because that's not going to help you find out your map. How you interacted with someone, you can write. That will help you again identify something. Your summary. First, the expansion sheet. Copy your achievement summary just as listed it. One second, I'll just get a document open so that you can see that also. So I have expanded, I've written 20 achievement summaries here. From these 20, I have started expanding one by one. The first thing is I copied the achievement summary here and then I marked which period it came. Okay. I marked which period it came. Just first part is just cut paste. I put the number out of the 20, which was the number I pulled out. I put that here in the column and then how you got involved. So we'll read now uh, how we got involved. So first, on the expansion sheet, copy your achievement summary just as you listed it. Then you need to mark at which age bracket it came. How you got involved. The kind of data that is needed is in the how you got involved in the activity section is primarily circumstantial. In other words, what were the circumstances that caused you to engage in the activity? For example, perhaps you responded to someone asking or challenging you to participate. Maybe you saw a need or an opportunity that triggered your involvement. Try to recall your own reasons for engaging in the activity. As you will see in the two examples, only a few sentences are needed to provide sufficient detail for this section. You don't have to expand this too much. You have to keep a few sentences only. Now, details. The kind of data that is needed in how you went about doing the activity section is primarily task oriented. In other words, what specific actions did you yourselves perform within the activity? So that's very important. You got to tell what you did, what you felt, what you thought. It has to be, I did this, I thought about it like this, I went about doing this. So it's very important. The activity has to be done by you and you have to record that. For example, what specific skills did you use? What were you thinking as you did the activity? What was your approach to solving problems and overcoming obstacles? What did you notice that was important to you? If someone was watching you, then what would that person have seen you actually doing? As you can see in the following examples, this section should take up most of the one-page expansion. So this is the most important part of the expansion. You have to put about 3/4 of the page should be your expansion of how you went about doing this thing. As you can see in the following, this section should take up about most of the one-page expansion. These details are extremely important for you to thoroughly flush out. flesh out. Descriptive data is not usually needed.
So where are you reading this from? I think I missed that. That article from where do I find it? I think last time you showed.
Yeah, Pastor Victor, can you go to your cloud? Others, I hope you know where it is, no?
Yes, Pastor.
Yes, Pastor.
In the library, right?
In the library. As you scroll down, you will see a spectrum of green, blue, orange books. And the last one is identified.
Pastor, there are 8 keys that need to be expanded and 1 page has to be written. But I see your page has, document has 26 pages. So like...
My document, huh?
Yeah, the one which you were showing, it has 26 pages.
Okay, so let's look at that. So this is my first achievement summary. Can you see it? Expansion number 1. This is a third in the list. How you got involved, a short. As a leader of the youth group of the New Life Fellowship English Church, I wanted to see that I could lead the youth of the church to reach out to the youth in the city of Mangalore. I got a couple of ideas, including that of a rock concert, the first of its kind, and placed the idea before the elders. I placed it before the elders. They approved and placed me in charge. That means they saw in me something that placed me in charge to coordinate and conduct. That is, I should coordinate and conduct the event. Now, what did I write? 26 pages. I already spent a lot of pages writing the 20 expansions, and then I have each expansion. See, so this is 2 pages. Expansion number 2. Approximately 2 pages, but that is not actually 2 pages. It will come to about 1 page if you put it. And I have used, I think, 14 font also, or 12. I'm not sure. So, how we got involved? Pastor Victor, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay, but you can follow it on me where I am reading it. Then you can see that's where you can use it for your reading later. So,
I can't see your the page.
You can't see?
No.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
All of you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So descriptive data is not usually needed. That means let's say I got onto a bus. I don't need to describe the color of the bus and what kind of bus it was. That's of no use at all. You understand? So we will waste time and text giving descriptions of things around us. It does no use. If anything, you describe your intention, you describe what you did. That's the most important thing that you should. You don't, you should say that I helped my mother. My mother was 83 years old. She was, no use describing your mother. Unless you're describing something specific about her that was part of why you got involved in that. You understand? So those things you have to be careful. You don't have to go. This is not really, unless it is important to understanding what you did. Don't describe the activity or tell us what others did. Sometimes we just get on to what others did for us. You told us what you did well in your achievements. Now tell us what you did to accomplish that achievement. We should see a lot of statements that begin with the I, because we are so trained to be modest and not take glory and give God the glory. Will be the toughest part of your life. Okay. As you write, I did this, Everything you have been trained so far by your pastors not to take glory and not to boast about yourself, you will struggle to fight that particular issue. So you need to be bold about writing I followed by a verb or action that you did. If you can't come up with details, it may mean you are not starting with a clear achievement. You may need to restate your achievement to make clear what you actually did. Enjoyable and satisfying. So the first one was how you went about doing the activity. Okay. Now the first one was how you got involved. Second part is how you went about doing the activity. Now, third is enjoyable and satisfying. Now, in the third part, you should write the kind of data that is needed is in what was most satisfying to you about the activity. Section is primarily evaluative. In other words, when you stand back and evaluate the activity in its parts or as a whole, what exactly was it about the activity that was most enjoyable or deeply satisfying? For example, perhaps doing a specific part of the activity was most enjoyable to you. Maybe some effect of the effect that your activity had on others was deeply satisfying to you. Possibly some others, possibly some other process or result of the activity was most enjoyable to you. As you can see in the examples that follow, only a few sentences are needed to provide sufficient details in this. So the first part, how you got involved and what was satisfying to you, can be very small. How you went about doing it is supposed to be 3/4 of the expansion. Okay. Now going to an example. Here are two full examples of the achievement activity expansions. Achievement activity summary. I played scrub baseball and sometimes helped organize it. I was excited to lead us to win the city championship. How you got involved in the activity? I think an older kid who had taught me how to pitch encouraged me to get a team together. Sometimes I played at school and at other times just got on the neighborhood games we worked up. How you went about doing the activity? One summer, I thought, why not have a first-class team? So I went around to kids I knew who were really good and asked them to play. I chose the name Blackhawks and was co-captain with another friend. I had to share that with him to get him to join. Can you see the activity verbs after that? I and what I did. But I assigned most of the positions. At the beginning, I also set up most of the games. I would decide a few days in advance, phone around and get others phone to phone. I never did much have a real schedule. I learned to throw a fast break and sinker from an old kid. I used to practice every morning just before breakfast and night after I got home from school by throwing balls into a 55-gallon drum. So he has described that drum a little bit. We don't need too much description of the drum actually. Okay. But just to so that your achievement summary expansion is a little more clear about what you are doing. Okay. I was good on change-ups and became known as a good control pitcher. I got to know how to read a batter later on when we got our little league team and usually won. I also played first base with the Blackhawks before I became a good pitcher. I had long arms and good reach. Okay. Can you know have you noticed? I did this, I did this, I did this. It's all I and then an activity verb. What was most satisfying to you about the activity? I liked winning. It proved my ability to play ball well. I enjoyed the recognition from friends and from parents, especially the support of the little league coach. I like to know they were looking to me to win. It was very important to come through so we could win the city championship. You understood? What was most satisfying to you? Recognition was satisfying to you. Doing the process was satisfying to you. Things like that. So just show you my sample so that it will help you to see what. Uh, then details of how of what you did, how you actually went about doing it. This was a large-scale effort, and I knew could be done by developing a good team of vibrant youth to make arrangements of all aspects of the concert. I gathered a team of youth and planned out the preparation for the day of the concert. The work done together was very interesting, and I enjoyed motivating the people to reach their goals and finally a successful concert. I made a list of items with members who had skill sets in the area. I led the teams for artwork, permissions, hall management, security, music, band support, transportation, etc. I had several rounds of meetings with each team and also with the elders team. We raised resources. Now I used we. That's again tricky, okay? Ideally, don't use we, but some places you did together, but you can use we. We raised resources to buy the required items for the hall and also book the hall. I created a checklist and kept ticking off the planned activities as they were getting done. We faced a lot of obstacles and challenges, but I stepped in and found solutions for the blocks. On the day of the concert, all the teams were on high alert. I was in and out of the hall, monitoring all the teams and their work, filling in if there was any lack of support. We had a good turnout and we could reach out to the youth of the city with the gospel. All the team members were so happy and experienced fulfillment, including myself. All of them came and appreciated my efforts, especially my senior pastor and spiritual mentor. This happened in Mangalore. Pastor Meneses was the one that I'm talking about here, and Minyanti. Okay. What was particularly satisfying to you? So, what was satisfying to me? I enjoyed engaging with the youth. I enjoyed envisioning this activity. None of the people thought about this. This was something that generated out of me. I enjoyed planning the activity. I love getting teams. I love sitting and talking and thinking and making everybody think. So planning the activity. I enjoyed leading the teams. I enjoyed solving problems and challenges. This is something which I really enjoyed, solving the problems. I actually get bored when there is no problems. I enjoyed when the teams worked like clockwork. I enjoyed the success that we achieved through the program in reaching out to the good number of youths in Bangalore. I enjoyed working in the background. I enjoyed being there for those team members who are struggling and supporting. So, what was particularly satisfying to you? I have got 9 things that I have listed out. You can write it as a list or you can write it as a paragraph. Preferably, writing as a list is very good so that you can easily see and choose the data that you need to pull out of this. Does this make sense to you, whatever we wrote? So I gave you an example. And
Pastor, I have a question.
Mhm.
So, the main criteria is the activity should be enjoyable, but I have listed an activity which was more like surviving a situation. The situation was not enjoyable, but the way I dealt with it gave me good satisfaction. So
That's what
can
you.
that be?
Yeah. That you got it correct. You got it correct. Yeah, the event as such may not have been pleasurable, but how you did the event was very pleasurable to you. Let's say, for example, the exam itself is a painful exam. You hate biology, but how you prepared for it was enjoyable to you. You hated the subject, but how you prepared for it was enjoyable to you. You get the picture.
Pastor, so yes, again, another question cropped up about something. So one of my activities is like an aggregation because that's one general thing. I mean, there's so many things in that I cannot list each one. It'll take 100 pages. So
I will look at each of your achievements.
Okay.
I'll come to your thing. We'll just finish this and we will look at each of your 20 summaries and which we all need to comment on now. So let me get back to the expansion. Okay. Then, so we are here now. Okay. How would so expansion number 2? Okay, expansion number 2. Achievement activity summary. I designed and built the log home I lived in for 16 years. People loved coming to this charming woodsy getaway for gatherings, and I loved having them. So achievement summary. How you went about, how you got involved in the activity. In my younger years, my dad would take my brother and I for walks in the woods in the fall of the year. I loved the smell of the leaves and the crisp air. When both my parents had passed away, leaving 3 home estates to settle, my brother and I sold all 3 properties and divided the proceeds. I got a 10-acre plot of woodland, one which we had driven by often and was at one point owned by a distant relative. Okay. So, how he got involved in the whole activity. He's given an explanation for that. How you went about doing the activity. As I had almost unlimited choices of what type of home to build, I had always liked the outdoor feel of a log home. I investigated this possibility. Between brochures, local contractors, the builders show, and the log home owners, I developed a floor plan and had a cost estimate done. I chose a contractor, and with some revisions from the contractor and proper approvals, building began. Within certain price ranges, I selected various types of interior materials. I mean, some of these things you may find it like, why are you writing these things? It's very important. You got to go as much detail as possible. Okay. So I selected various types of interior materials, light fixtures, carpet, kitchen, cabinetry, paint colors, decorative stone, and outside stage. I found this to be an exciting time, a once in a lifetime opportunity, and had fun going to different stores. I coordinated colors and made product selections. During the construction, I would stop by the home after work and checked on the progress, taking pictures, asking questions, and conversing with the contractor about the best way to proceed. After 16 years of living there, I'm still satisfied with the outcome of the choices I made years earlier. What was most satisfying to you about the activity? Not only was this home to me, but many people have come through these doors. It was a haven of rest and comfort to friends, the fireplace relaxing, the loft inviting. I I had made good and lasting choices that gave me a sense of accomplishment. And to this day, evoke oohs and ahs when people walk into the door. Sister, you're saying something, Shiva, sister?
No, Pastor, I just said, wow, like the guy has described so beautifully and artistically and nature. I mean, I just love the way he's written.
Yeah. So when you are describing also, you can use all of these activities. So these 2 examples kind of give you idea. My example would give you an idea of how to expand. Okay. Now, what are the things that mistakes you can make and how you should avoid that? If you have carefully studied the definition examples in the previous section, then you should be equipped to select and expand the 8 of your achievement activity subjects. These tasks are very similar to the task you completed in the first step of the way. So some of the pitfalls should be avoided here too. Here is a list of common mistakes to avoid specifically when you expand your achievement activity summaries. By the way, when we were writing, nobody told us, and we didn't have the book in that time. Okay, it was crazy. Avoid false modesty. Don't attribute anything you did to your father, mother, and or your pastor. Okay, what you did, you have to tell. Okay, it is not prideful for you to think you did something well. For the purpose of this exercise, you should be totally honest about the activities you value as your achievements. You always give God the glory. Please don't make God inside this. God, the Spirit of God worked inside me and made me to do it. Don't do that. Then it is God, okay? Then you're writing the map of the Spirit of God, not your map, okay? Okay, so they contain vital data about your map that will be extracted later in the book. By the way, I'm doing this at 50, okay? I did it maybe at the age of 47. But if we could get our children to do this, the teens to do this, of course, they have a little time to examine. But if a child before, let's say between 15 to 16 can do the map, you can actually discover the hardwiring of the child and lead that child to choose a correct career. Because, what's the use of discovering the hardwiring at 50? Yeah? It's no, but still, of course, the rest of the journey, you could look at the way God used you and used your hardwiring. That will give you a fulfillment. and how you can do it earlier. But imagine a child discovers this at the age of 15, 16. Then, that internal design or hardwiring is a clear indication that this is what God wants you to do. So very good to use it in the 15, 16 range, according to me. Okay.
What about me, Pastor George?
Pastor, good to see how God used you in the past. And then for the rest of your journey, this will be useful. Okay, you will really enjoy it. I mean, for me, it was amazing as I wrote my achievement activities to see how my hardwiring really got used. It was very nice. I enjoyed watching that. And today, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, whatever I am currently, or what I achieved, a lot of it I'm discovering is related to my hardwiring. Yes, somebody is saying something.
Yeah, Pastor. Will you be reviewing whatever we are writing?
Yes. That's the most important part, the collaboration part. Okay. Avoid vague generalities. Expand achievement activities that you can vividly remember. You should be able to recall enough to be able to tell the story with some detail. Be as specific as possible in your expansions. Please don't write extremely 4-page essay, okay? It should not go more than 1 page, maybe maximum 2 pages, okay? If you write about 10 pages, I mean, some of you can remember everything in detail and you have excellent vocabulary and you went on expanding. It will be too much for you to handle, okay? So just write about a page, and 3/4 of the page should be your expansion of how you went about doing it. Okay, so avoid false modesty. Don't attribute it to the Holy Spirit because it will become Holy Spirit map. Don't attribute it to your father and mother because it is your father's and mother's map. You have to write what you did. Second is avoid vague generalities. Expand achievement that can so you should be able to specifically tell activities that you did. You must be able to recollect it. Okay. Avoid passive verbs. Don't use passive verbs in your expanding your achievement activities because they won't describe your actions. Passive verbs only describe actions that are received by the subject. My mother helped me. No use. There's nothing you did. Okay. Those are passive verbs. The subject is receiving the action.
I convinced my mother to help me. That would
Yes,
be
exactly. That is something you did. So that is something that verb is you as a subject is affecting the object. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Okay. For example, the active verb in I taught in the classroom shows the action that I myself performed, while the passive verb in I was taught in the classroom is something that only shows the action that someone else performed. So be careful when you write, don't use passive verbs. Try to expand your achievements in the active voice. If you have trouble with this, try just making a list of things you did to accomplish your achievement. Start each statement with I, followed by a verb, the action you did. For example, from example expansion to these plus more might have been the list to flush out the details by saying, how did you do that? I investigated the possibility. How did you investigate? I developed a flow plan by looking at brochures, talking to local contacts. I had a cost estimate done. I chose a contractor. By. I selected various types of engineers. How did you select? I coordinated colors. I made product selections. So by, you'll have to keep writing. I checked on the progress by taking pictures of it. I had made good and lasting choices. How did you do that? Avoid premature evaluation. When you write your expansions, don't evaluate them any further in order to conclude anything about your map in this step. Don't assess what you did, tear in the paper. You will carefully evaluate each of your expansions in the next step in this booklet. Okay. That evaluations are going to come later. So don't evaluate too much. You will have whatever you do, some amount of evaluation will be there. But don't do the evaluation or assessment of your activity now. You will be doing that later. Avoid rushing yourself. You should take as much time as you need to complete this step. It may take several hours or several sittings to complete. It should be a very positive experience for you to recollect the most enjoyable and satisfying activities in your own life. Don't worry if some of your achievement activities are partially forgotten at first. If you give yourself enough time, they should come back to your mind in vivid detail. So one of the things that you should truly experience as you do this exercise, of course, this achievement summaries, 20 achievement summaries, and the expansions is you start reliving your past, some of the best times. And that should really help you. Okay, that should really help you. It's a kind of an inner healing activity, actually. Okay, so please take time and write the expansion. Now, so this is achievement expansion sheet. So this sheet is there for you. It is there already in the room. This thing you can download the sheet. All you have to do is right straight away type into it. Achievement summary number 1. You cut paste whichever you want, whichever number. How you got involved in the activity. See, it's only 3 lines. How you went about doing the activity is big. What was more satisfying to you in the process? Achievement summary number 2. Keep on writing all the 8 activities that you need to do. Now, what is after this is important. Okay. Discuss your conclusions. So after the 20 summaries, we all have to discuss the conclusions. Now, after the 8 expansions, again, you have to discuss. So every step would be ending with a collaboration. That means we are all looking at each other's work and saying, hey, you didn't meet this criteria or you met this criteria. We're helping each other. So see that our expansions are good. When you meet with your group, you will verbally explain to your group how each expansion truly fits the definition. The goal of this discussion time is to verify that each of your 8 expansions contains the kind of data that is essential for the next steps in identifying who you are designed to be. Again, the task of expanding your achievement activities can be a solitary process. However, when working alone, it is easy to overlook your own mistakes. That is why the process is designed to be done in a group who can help you catch your mistakes. As always, the role of the group is not to determine or influence your expansions in it. For example, now you can't tell me that, Pastor, you should have done it like this. That is not the idea. That is already done. That's what I did it. You cannot tell, oh, Pastor, that is a theologically wrong idea. Doesn't matter. All of those things doesn't matter. So you are not to judge what was done. You are to see whether what was written is fitting the criteria that are mentioned in how you recorded these statements. Okay, we're not judging it. Of course, when we read each other's events, you will be shocked. Oh my God, this is the way that. Oh my God, when I did this with many other batches, I had my picture of you of certain people completely changed. My God, this is all done in their childhood. I couldn't believe it. Okay. Yeah. So when we discuss how does your expansion clearly describe how you got involved, how does it clearly describe your own actions, how does your expansion clearly describe what is most necessary, revise the expansion in order to answer these 3 questions. Now, this is the next step, but we're not going to touch this today, right now. We will do it in the next class, okay? So let us now come to looking at the 20 achievement summaries. Whoever have written. Pinto, Donna is not there?
Yes, Pastor, she's online.
Okay. So what you need to do is, if you have written 20 summaries, we can, yes, Donna, evidence is there now. Okay. No problem. Please, I just asked, that's all. Whoever like to, Shubha, if you have done it, you can share. I'll give sharing rights and you can share your activities.
Oh, Pastor, okay, wait, let me then just share it to my email first because it was in my iPad. Let me just do it.
Yeah, no problem.
And Pastor, you said you can directly download it. Maybe I didn't have that PDF editing software, whatever. But for this one, the achievement list and all, I copied that format into another document and then I sort of did it because it was not editable. Somehow I tried to click inside that downloaded thing. I was not able to edit. Maybe I did something
It was a
wrong.
Word document. You can edit it.
Okay.
You have to click enable editing on top.
Oh, maybe, yeah. So let me just email it to me.
I may have to We do it, I think, when I went to what you explained.
No problem. No problem. So as you do, that becomes part of your collaboration. You need to document so and so said this is the way. That is part of your competency.
And also, I didn't write in you mentioned three or four lines. I think some places
Yeah.
I've written almost a para of maybe 10 lines. Or,
So we'll tell you
And-
that your achievement summary became an expansion, right?
yeah, I think so.
No problem. That's okay. So we're going to start working with all of yours. The later we will divide the group into three, or you're going to meet during the week and discuss each other's, and you're going to mark. So if you want, one of the best ways to just show your map with your family. They can give feedback. Hey, this is not correct. This is not correct. Or this is correct. Or this is. So there can be revisions or affirmations. Two things that you need to record in your collaboration. So you need to put at the end of this thing a box on revisions and a box on. I think I showed you that last time. Just show you again here how that looks. Okay, so now after my 8 expansions. See, collaboration. So AA 19, achievement expansion 19. Matthew asked me to reduce the line and make one line statement. AA 19, Matthew asked me to be more specific about. This is your collaboration. Can you see the amount of collaboration I did? These are the confirmations. Shibu approved the 20 summaries, expansion 1. Dr. Matthew said it was fine and approved the changes. Expansion, Shibu approved the expansion with changes. Joseph approved the expansion, minor changes. Dr. Matthew approved expansion. Can you see the collaboration work done? This has to be there for your competency to clear, okay? So no problem in you making mistake. So those, you see the amount of revision was done after I presented to the group. You understood the idea? Okay, so when the group is commenting on your work, it's not a, please don't misunderstand it as you've done wrong and we're pointing out your mistake. No, that's not. The group is helping you fine tune your content so that your data will be good to be pulled out. So, and every time now Shubha says something, and now Shubha is presenting. Now Pastor Victor says, hey, Shubha, I think you need to change this here. Immediately record it. Pastor Victor told me to change this. You understood? You should keep on recording that. And that becomes your collaboration. Okay, Shubha sister, you can go ahead and.
Sure, Pastor. But then some things maybe, I don't know, everything is on the record, it's getting recorded. Some things maybe like, why is it this on the record and all that? But yeah, okay.